Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of the Mindful Constitution podcast. I wanted to first start by introducing myself, I guess, is the first step, right? And in podcasting, I'm Katie, and I am an integrative wellness coach and owner of Mindful Constitution Integrative Wellness Coaching. So as you can see, I got very creative with podcast name and just went with the Mindful Constitution podcast. Keep it simple, right? So I wanted to take some time to just dive into a solo introductory episode, giving you an idea of what you can expect on the podcast, a little forecast of topics to come, and just share a little bit about me and why I decided to start this podcast. I can talk, I swear. I think that's a prerequisite for podcasting, right? But before I dive into that, I did want to just say thank you so much for everyone here. I'm so grateful for anyone tuning in, whether you've been following along on my path over on Instagram or you're new to this podcast today, this week, you just found me on YouTube or Spotify. I'm really excited you're here, and I hope that you find what you are looking for tuning in and continue to enjoy the episodes to come. So why don't we start with just saying why I decided to create a podcast when there's like 10 bajillion million podcasts in the world. And there's a few reasons why. One big one is that the Instagram captions, they're just not cutting it. I can't say everything I need to say in the Instagram captions. So I figured that a podcast would be a great way to share my voice as well as highlight so many other amazing voices in the health and wellness space. And I started a while back doing lives over on Instagram and really highlighting and interviewing different people just to share expertise, have it be kind of an educational tool for my followers to tune into different topics of interest. And I really love doing it. I just have always been a super curious person. I really love digging into the nitty-gritty of what makes people tick and talking to them about the deeper aspects of who they are and what they're passionate about and what's their driving force in life and what they're really excited to talk about. I think it's such a beautiful way to learn, to be able to just be inquisitive with people who are really feeling excited about the lives they're creating and really feeling passionate about the areas that they work in or the careers they've built. And then to be able to share those conversations for people to listen to second-handedly and gather the same information is just a really cool way to highlight others, build us all up in the process, and learn and grow together. So curiosity has been something that has been a part of who I am ever since I was super little. I've just always been a very inquisitive is a good way of putting it. Interrogative is probably more realistic. I've loved asking tons and tons of questions to the point of being overbearing and annoying. But I think that it's put to good use in the podcasting realm. So I'll tell you one thing, you probably don't want to watch a movie with me. We'll just say that. So those are sort of my main reasons for inspiration, is just loving diving in deeper with people, learning from others, engaging my curiosity and sharing it as a tool for learning for listeners, clients, followers, whoever cares to hear. So that is one. And another big one is just, this isn't the most comfortable thing for me. And luckily I'm going to be generally having conversations with other people, but I'll tell you, this like one-on-one recording, not that comfortable. I'm definitely outside of my comfort zone and very happy that the majority of these will be doing what I really love, which is interviewing others, but I also like to show people that, you can be scared and do things anyways. You can get outside your comfort zone. You can share your voice without being too much. You can put yourself out there, and you never know what can come of it. So leading by example is another big reason for creating the podcast. And when we talk about what you can expect, which is a big thing, I touched upon it in the introduction, which highlighted that I'll be talking about sober curiosity, holistic health, down-to-earth parenting, and just this broader theme of human connection and facilitating more of it. So I know a lot of you may be tuning in who are already familiar with me and the work that I do, but for anyone who's not, I obviously am an integrative wellness coach, which I feel like I've said a million times. Integrative wellness. But my focus is in sober curious clients. So I work with people who are looking to explore drinking less or not at all, taking a break, drinking more mindfully, really just people who are hoping to explore their relationship with alcohol in an honest way and really hoping to achieve their most vibrant, healthiest, high frequency life. And I do that through the lens of holistic health. And what that can look like is such a wide variety of things, because really anything that impacts our health and well-being is under the umbrella of holistic health. So physical health, diet, exercise, sleep, hydration, but also emotional, mental, spiritual health as well. And that can be exploring spirituality and our meaning and purpose and deeper connection to fulfillment in our life. It can look like exploring relationships and community. It can look like exploring our stress management, emotional regulation. How do we calm our nervous system without alcohol? How do we build a life that we don't need to escape without alcohol? And that's a huge focus with what I do. So of course that translates to the podcast a lot. This idea of sober curiosity, alcohol-free living, really exploring our programming around alcohol and our societal norms around alcohol. And also exploring holistic health as its own entity as well, not just in the same vein as sober curiosity, although they often go hand in hand. But holistic health is a huge topic on its own. And I love looking at the interconnected nature of our mental, physical, and spiritual health. I feel like spirituality often gets this stereotype or kind of pretentious rap and that it's this aesthetic or something you are, you're not. I'm a spiritual person or I'm not a spiritual person. The way that I look at spirituality, though, is an innate component of who we are as humans. I think we all have spirits. We all have meaning and purpose that we're here to fulfill. And that is really an inextricable part of who we are. So I don't really look at spirituality as this certain look or way of being. I look at it as something that's a part of us all and a really big part of our overall health and wellness as well. And I really like to make that approachable and down to earth for people too. So other areas I guess I should share about is with parenting and this idea of healthy family life and raising healthy kids in today's crazy world is that I'm in my third trimester of pregnancy. And so I'm embarking on the journey of motherhood, which is pretty crazy. Pregnancy has been pretty wild already, to be honest. And I see that it will absolutely be another portal for transformation for sure. And I see how all of these areas really go together, similarly to the interconnected nature of health. A lot of the different characters or themes in our lives all interconnect as well. So parenting, healthy living, our relationship with alcohol, all of these things overlap a lot. And they're big parts of who I am. And I know that it's big themes in many people's lives. How do we stay healthy with juggling the responsibilities of parenting? How do we have a healthy relationship with alcohol, with the stresses of parenting? How do we have a healthy relationship with food and alcohol and ourselves? How do we get honest about how we're sabotaging in any of these departments? So I know that it can be a common theme for many of my clients and just humans in general, and super fascinating to dig into more. So those are really the core themes that I'll be discussing here on the Mindful Constitution podcast. But other definite threads I'll be weaving in is the idea of sisterhood and building other women up and supporting and uplifting each other. And I don't even think this is something that we have to limit to women. I mean, we can all use uplifting along our way, and the world can definitely be a harsh place sometimes. And I think that we all grow best together. As I shared with my inspiration for creating the podcast is to facilitate growth with each other and grow together in a shared space for learning. So I see this really beautiful reciprocal relationship between personal growth and collective growth. One in which where we work on ourselves and we focus on our own personal growth, we can have such a beneficial and positive impact around on the people around us. And conversely, when we invest in the people around us, that can really benefit our own growth too, and we can rise together. So, sisterhood all the way, honey. And then other themes, I love looking at systems. So healthcare system, education system, pharmaceutical system, the food system. I think it's really interesting to explore how these systems impact our day-to-day lives, our day-to-day pursuits of health, and also how we can actually make a difference or live the lives that we want to live within some of the umbrella systems that are at play. Sometimes it can be kind of daunting looking at the way that the world is and thinking, at least for me, maybe it's just for me, but I think I speak for more than just myself when I say sometimes looking at the powers that be, it can feel like we don't have a lot of power on an individual level. And so I always want this podcast to be a space where I can remind you that the small choices that you choose to make every day in your own life, voting with your own dollar, can really shape the world that you want to see. And if we all do that, that's how change happens. And that's how we create systems that are more empowering as opposed to systems that benefit from our ignorance or our lack of health or awareness. And so, yeah, those conversations usually bring out my tinfoil hat, which will come out from time to time. However, I believe that it's a necessary part of curiosity, that tinfoil hat of mine. And I also think, if you're not asking questions about the bigger picture of the world at this point, then you're probably not even listening to my podcast. So tinfoil hats unite. And, as part of the larger conversation we'll be having. And I think that sums up most of the things that you can expect to hear about on the podcast. So just to kind of summarize, sober curiosity, holistic health, down-to-earth parenting, balancing it all in a crazy ass world, sisterhood, community, looking at larger systems and how we can operate within them in an empowered way. And then lastly is just the biggest takeaway is to provide a space where you feel the ability to relate to understand, to feel understood, to feel heard, seen, to perhaps take away something that you can implement in your own life. Like I was saying, human connection and just really digging in deeper with other people is something I've always loved to do. It's something that I personally thrive off of. I've never been a big small talker. I've always been like, so tell me about you and everything that made you who you are. And not everyone loves that. But I will say that the idea of bringing us together as humans in a shared human experience is something I'm really passionate about. It's very easy to focus on our differences in today's world, but in reality, there's many more things that we have in common than things that make us different. And highlighting those is something I'm very passionate about. We all experience heartbreak. We all experience struggles with being healthy. We all experience struggles with living in alignment with our fullest potential. We all experience struggles with our shadow side and self-sabotage. We all experience, or many of us experience the struggles of juggling parenthood or trying to find your way within systems that maybe you don't agree with certain aspects of. So there's so many things that we can relate on, grow together, and learn through. And that's really what I want this to be a space for you to do. And to just have some fucking fun too, because life gets a little too serious along the way. And I think we should all lighten up, because it's just a never-ending process, this whole learning and healing and transforming and evolving that we're doing here. So, let's just have some fun while we do it, make it lighthearted, and make it enjoyable for ourselves along the way, right? Right? Anybody? I feel like that's the vibe. So I wanted to end with a poem that I actually found this morning when I was brainstorming what I wanted to say in these less than 20 minutes, which I am going to do in less than 20 minutes. But I wanted to read this poem, which kind of encapsulates what I'm saying about human connection. And it's from this book, Rise, Sister, Rise, by Rebecca Campbell, who's pretty amazing if you're into diving more into spirituality and the divine feminine. She's really cool. So the poem is called It's Your Humanness That Inspires Me. It is your humanness that inspires me, your ability to choose to rise fall after fall. It's your humanness that inspires me, the time you chose the light when it was darker than ever before. It's your humanness that inspires me, how you found the courage to let the life you had so consciously created crumble and fall. It's your humanness that inspires me when you share your heart, cracks and all. It's your humanness that inspires me, that you tell the truth about how hard life got and how you're different from before. It's your humanness that inspires me, the day you let your old self die in order for who you were becoming to be born. It's your humanness that inspires me, how no matter how many times you doubted it, you never stopped answering the call. And so it just really resonated with me about this idea of education and storytelling and uniquely combining them together to create a space where we can explore all of these big topics in healing and wellness and sober curiosity and looking at larger systems of the world and human connection and interpersonal relationships through this lens of examples of resilience, examples of learning, examples of vulnerability, of personal experiences that many of us can relate to. And so I hope that you enjoy listening along the way, and I will be sharing tons more about myself, and I'm excited for people to share tons more about themselves and their wisdom and knowledge, and I hope you enjoy. And if you would like to do your girl a solid, you can subscribe on YouTube, comment, you can like, share. I'll be posting it on Instagram as well. And otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in. And I'm so excited to get started and release the first episode in just a couple days with Elizabeth Garcion of Absence of Proof. And it'll be all about her creation of a non-alcoholic event curation company and her own sober curious journey. So looking forward to that and all the other wonderful guests. And I'll see you again soon.